outside of the screen.
All right, and we are live. Good evening, everyone. I'm Multibrawlr, or Like on Liturgy on YouTube, and I'm here to show you the House of the Dead 2. I got this game all set up with a gun for IR, which is an infrared sensor-based gun. You already saw from the opponent the usage of the Sinden light gun. So the Sinden, the gun for IR, are two examples of light guns that have emerged in recent years to make it so that you could play these games on screens that normally would not support light guns in the past. This is my second coin-op classic. I played some games last year, played some light gun games last year and had a lot of fun. Hugely passionate about the genre, so I figured I'd submit more this year. So we start off here with the House of the Dead 2. And I don't think Sega's House of the Dead series really needs too much introduction. It's very much a household name in the genre. And even George Romero, director of Night of the Living Dead, attributed the House of the Dead, along with Resident Evil, for popularizing zombies in the media in terms of video games. Of course, the creatures in this game are actually not zombies in canon, for those who care about the story. There's a story. But House of the Dead 2, I think, is the game that most people think of when they think of House of the Dead, and for good reason. It had a lot of wide distribution, had a ton of ports after coming on the Sega Naomi arcade board, which is Dreamcast-based, came to Dreamcast, PC, Xbox, and then it spawned a ton of spin-offs. So it had a lot of exposure, and so most people think about it. And this game is also well known for its incredible voice acting. So if you have any favorite lines, feel free to just go crazy in chat and spam your favorite House of the Dead lines in chat. We'll suffer like G did together. I do actually own the arcade hardware for this game, 2 motherboards and a rat's nest of parts from the guts of a cabinet, but I don't have it set up, so we'll have to make do with an emulator, and I'll try to go for a 1cc here. I personally think this is the hardest House of the Dead game to 1cc. For a few reasons, but regardless of what happens, it should be a fun run. So let's get started here. So I'm going to coin up, and then we'll start the timer on the count of 3. So let's coin up first. Got this nice credit noise. Let's hear it again.
The House of the Dead.
All right, so let's get started here in the count of 3, 2, 1, reload. There is a secret code you can enable using the player 1 and player 2 gun triggers to show your score, but I'm not enabling it. I don't have a second gun wired up. All right, let's go.
Please be safe, G. How could anyone do this? G!
There's a lot going on with House of the Dead 2 compared to its predecessor. I still prefer the original game more, but I think 2 is enjoyable. You'll first notice the first game took place in a mansion, so it definitely deserved the name The House of the Dead, but now we're in a Venetian city. That's Agent G, who's a character from the first game, and he gets sidelined very quickly. Instead, you play as James Taylor and Gary Stewart, the two main characters. And they start throwing... This first level is pretty straightforward, there's not much going on, but it throws some mechanics at you. Like hostage rescues and branching paths right here. So the decisions you make affect the branching paths you take, so if I don't save those two people, I would have taken a different path. Hostages give you points, and also bonus lives as well, so I don't want to go for them if you want. But the first level is it's kind of like a soft tutorial. It just kind of throws a few stuff at you, but nothing too crazy. There's only one branching path, which was back there, and we'll continue going forward here. The main scoring strategy in the House of the Dead series is to shoot enemies in the head, because it scores the most points, and it kills enemies faster, assuming they're humanoid and have a head you can shoot. Some enemies take more headshots than others to go down, but basic rule still applies. And we got some people here to rescue here. So she'll get a life up.
Thank you. Please.
You start at 3 lives by default, and the max is 5. If you pick up an extra life while you're at max health, you get bonus points. And here's the first boss. Stay the line. Here we go. The first of many hugely repeated lines. So this is the first boss, Judgment. All the bosses in the House of the Dead series are named after tarot cards. So I guess it's totally a JoJo's reference. Weak point for this guy is the little flying guy, but you can shoot the big armored guy, Carl, for points. It's like 10 points, I think, a hit. There's some other things you can do, kind of jank stuff, like you can shoot the signpost for accuracy. This game actually has an accuracy percentage mechanic that most people don't know about. Like, if you clear a stage, it shows your accuracy percentage, and you get a certain amount of points based on how high it is. But the game never tells you how many points you get awarded by it. And also, it's not really worthwhile to go for compared to some of the other stuff in this game. Scoring system's kind of weird. We'll talk about it a bit more. But after the big armored guy comes down, it's just a little guy. And we took him out. His flight patterns are pretty random. That last one's really nasty.
Amy! Harry!
That's the first stage.
What's going on in this city?
Don't know, but it's very similar to the 1998 Tyrion case.
That case?
That case?
Jane, go and prevent the confusion in the
So this game is a direct sequel to the first House of the Dead, taking place almost 2 years later. First House of the Dead involved a mad scientist named Dr. Tyrion releasing these hostile creatures, which were developed in labs, copied and created, you know, mad science gone wrong,
dogs of the
in his mansion. That was taken care of by the AMS government organization. That's Goldman. We're going to get more with him later. So the AMS agents took care of the situation, but,
Need to hurry.
well, it's almost 2 years later, the year 2000, and the creatures are back. in this city, and we gotta figure out what's going on. If you don't save that guy, you take a different path. Music in this stage is really good. I love it. Got some owls here. So the enemy variety is, I think, definitely a lot bigger and more over the top, more varied in this game compared to the first. A ton of enemies to fight. The scoring system got changed in this game. The first House of the Dead, headshots, obviously headshots score the most points, but they're a fixed value. For some reason in this game, headshots score an incremental value, and if you kill an enemy, you can keep shooting their body afterwards for more points. Keep shooting the head to get more value. It's a key for one branching path. So take this path, save the kid. If you don't save the kid, you take a different route.
Don't worry, I'll get him out.
Go through here, you can shoot the fans and a bunch of stuff. If you don't open the door, you take a different path. This is like the most convoluted level in the game. I like this series. But yeah, the headshot value, so you kill an enemy with a headshot, and then you continue shooting their head afterwards, or where the head once was, without missing a shot, and each hit will also count as a further subsequent headshot. So really good players can actually, like, jack up the scoring and can score like 500,000 points, especially with a glitch in this stage, which I'm not going to do. It's kind of a scoring exploit that lets you score like a crazy amount of points by repeatedly shooting an enemy who doesn't die properly. But we're not going to do that. Pretty nasty enemies there, those fat dudes. That's a hard civilian to rescue. And he gives a life up, but I'm already at max.
Hey, Sunset Bridge is just ahead.
Sunset Bridge is just ahead. So approaching the end stage of the boss. So the interesting thing about this level is you can end this level in one of two different areas. Sunset Bridge, which we're coming to, or the Wharf. The area that you end up at determines the behavior of the boss. And some other stuff we'll talk about later. The fat guys are among the mightiest enemies in the game. Their names are Bob. It's kind of funny, all the enemies have names. Like those guys attacking me, they're named David. But the fat guys they take a lot of headshots to die.
Amy, Harry, the chaos of this city is increasing.
So we gotta decrease the chaos, I guess.
Things like wait, we'll talk later.
God, the music is so good. But it's over now, and get the boss. This is Hierophant. Hierophant's weak point is the heart in his opening and closing ribcage. He's got this giant trident. Shall go for it. So then he gets in the water and summons fish, which you can shoot him a bit more to cancel this attack out. He summons 7 fish, then 8 fish, and then 9. It's worth a bit extra points to shoot the fish, so I go for it anyways. And then damage him after. But this part of the fight is where his attack varies based on the paths you take in a little bit. So he jumps up in the air, he's kind of a pain. If you're playing on the arcade cabinet and the calibration on the top of the screen is not good, he's a pretty rough boss. So here, if you pick the Sunset Bridge route, he hides in the water and you gotta find him. He pops up in a random spot. But if you play the Sunset Bridge route, he never hides in the water and it's actually a bit of an easier fight. It's kind of interesting. It's the only House of the Dead game that has that, where like the boss patterns change a bit based on the routes you take, and that's Hierophant. That's stage 2. Jump in that water, or jump the boat, I should say.
No one's gonna get away with this.
All right. Da-da-da. Really satisfying stage clear theme.
It's been a while, hasn't it? My friends from the AMS. It's me, Goldman.
Alright, so we get some lore here, but the sound mixing is terrible, so...
Well, the 1998 Curing case. Guess who's behind it? It was Goldman. He's the head one of the most eminent financial...
The head one.
And an expert on that genome theory.
Genome theory.
James, back me up. Okay.
So this Goldman character was responsible for the first game. And looks like he's, sorry, I can't talk about it. That part is really hard. That guy hanging on that bridge, he's horrible. He's one of the worst enemies in the game. Sometimes this game throws enemies that you can't really headshot well, and you're kind of forced to, kind of shoot their chests. So they're a lot bullet spongier. This level's kind of cool because you're mostly in a boat instead of on foot. So life there, I'm going to leave it there in case I need it.
Thanks for saving me.
And the branching paths you take in the previous level also affects... You start this level in one of two different starting points. So because I started at the wharf, I took one starting point, like a path A. There's a path B if you beat the last level at the wharf, or it's kind of convoluted. Basically, there's two different starting points based on how where you wound up at the end of Chapter 2. But then you get a branching path situation there, and if you succeed or fail it, you'll cross over onto the other path, or you'll stick onto the one you currently are at. I got the life, which is max.
Over there. Ah! Don't come.
Let's hurry.
Let's hurry. Approaching the end of this stage here. So you find out that Goldman was responsible for the first game's events, and he has some mysterious intentions for this incident.
You go from the underground passage.
The story of the House of the Dead series is kind of paper thin, but I always appreciated how the developers tried to tell a continuing story. Like, there's a timeline, there's character birthdays. If you get the Japanese guidebooks, there's like diagrams showing the relationships of all the characters. Like, I know people rag on this game for the voice acting and storytelling, but I feel like the developers deserve credit trying to go the storytelling route. I don't like how Time Crisis was very cinematic. Like, this one kind of... House of the Dead definitely took a lot of influence from movies and just having a continuing storyline, if you care about that kind of thing. So here's Tower. Tower is really angry at me because the rank is high. The weak point of Tower are the open mouths of the serpents. The orange serpents have random stun animations. So sometimes they'll play a stun animation that lets you get an extra shot afterwards, but you don't really have much control over it. And then the final serpent, it's 2 shots to the open mouth. Like so. If you take different paths, you'll actually fight this serpent in a sandy area, like a lot of sand. I don't actually remember if it changes the boss behavior. I think the first time you fight the blue serpent, its head is visible under... It's hidden under the sand, but then it's visible. It's been a while since I played that route, but... Oh no, what happened to Amy and Harry? Have to hurry. Also, you can shoot your bullets during the stage tally.
All you need to do is wait.
Alright, stage 4. The 4th chapter, and they misspelled the word 4th.
What happened to Amy and Harry? Have to hurry.
Alright. So just like the last level, there's two starting points of this level based on where you wound up in the last level. And now we're fighting to the Coliseum to find out what happened to our partners Amy Crystal and Harry Harris. It's possible to headshot the creature holding that guy, but it's really risky. A bit like the final hostage you save in House of the Dead 1. Kind of similar. Save that guy. If you don't save him, you get dragged down to a lower path that also has another branching path situation. This game is a bit weird too. It seems like for higher scoring, it's actually advantageous to let hostages die on purpose. First game was the exact opposite, but it's in this game, and also just a lot of the fun branching paths it seems like you get by letting hostages die. If you're saving all the people like I am right now, then your path diverges a lot, very little, excuse me. There's very few branching paths in this game compared to the first that are influenced by you. I don't know what hit me there. That was a glitch there. I got an instant hit, which is unfortunate. That can happen with that creature. So you're supposed to throw boomerang projectiles, but sometimes they immediately hit you and you get hit.
I am Goldman.
Get this great dialogue.
I don't care if you people try to get in my way or not. In time you'll find out who's right. This is a present from me to you. Look at your left.
The Goldman very much prepared for Christmas this year.
Amy! Harry!
Well, friends, I look forward to meeting you people again.
I don't know if it's just me. His voice sounds different in the arcade version. This is the arcade version emulated. Get to the home ports. So here's strength. Weak points to head. This is where I kind of just ignore accuracy and just focus on shooting as fast as possible and hope I can hit him before he hits me. If you play the home ports, the chainsaw noise is bugged, so it never loops properly, which always drove me crazy. I'm not sure if the paths you take at the end of the stage affect this boss either. In the final phase, which is hard. Oh, that was unfortunate, but we'll get a life back, and then there's a life up at the end of the start of stage 5.
Amy! Harry! Are you alright?
That seems kind of funny. I like this moment here.
No! Dang.
Watch James with his hand. It's like he's got some Jedi mind trick powers.
Square. The top floor. Building that point A. 0063. There. No, James.
So strength can be annoying as a boss,
Golden.
but no damage strength fights are possible. So that's stage 4 ended. So that's basically the first half of this game's difficulty. Get a life back. There's a life up at the start of stage 5. Stage 5 is where things change.
Awaken soon. Hurry, friends.
You get some more weird cutscenes, and this is where the game gets really hard.
0063 is just ahead. It's too quiet.
So there may be moments in which I'm just not talking because I have to focus. These enemies are cool. If you shoot their chests, the parasite comes out and you have to deal with it. If you headshot them, you don't deal with it, though. Like so.
This must be the car.
Back to Max again. So if you played House of the Dead 4, a lot of these set pieces will be very similar. That game takes place 3 years after this one. But this level mostly consists of a boss rush. Some great dialogue. As. You get Carl. Duckman is not much different in the second round. Same strategy applies. Go, Carl. Wait, did he just do a fist bump there? I just noticed that. There's a little details. House of the Dead, a lot of the early House of the Dead games, particularly the first two games, are, like, they have a lot of really nice details. But, alright. If Final Fight had Hit Squad, then House of the Dead 2 has Car Squad. I took one hit, not too bad. That part sucks. It is possible to deal with that without taking damage. My gun actually cannot really shoot too fast to deal with that scene. But in the arcade, I kind of just rapid fire and just hope for the best. The first creature who kicks you, I mean, his head is off screen, so you have no choice but to go for his chest. And as mentioned before, I think, like, shooting enemies below the head, like, it's so bullet spongy. There's Hierophant again. Same as before, but he doesn't have fiction, he doesn't hide in the water. That right there. Right there. If you saw that, it is possible to actually shoot him and prevent him from jumping. So I actually interrupted him from jumping up and doing that attack. It's a small window of opportunity. That's the most amount of times I've ever actually pulled that off in sequence, but it feels good when you do it. Definitely makes that fight a bit more bearable. The muscular enemies have a terrible punch. You really don't want them near you. They suck. They're one of the reasons why this level is so scary, but we haven't reached the scariest part of the reason, the biggest reason why this level is so scary. Not yet.
Let's go.
You're getting there.
Prepare
So now for the Goldman building. Kill the guy on the left, and then shoot the two parasite guys. For the most part in this game, only one enemy can attack at once. He's attacking you, the other's paws. So I try to take advantage of that. It lowers scoring, but to prevent the muscle guys from attacking. Anyway, he's back.
I've been waiting for this time to come. You have no future. Either I give you, or the Emperor will. Either way, your fate is in our hands.
We get this great music. It's probably the hardest iteration of Magician in the House of the Dead series. I can't really talk during it, so we'll see how the fight goes. Nice, he's colored white. I'll explain. On the projectiles. Alright, no damage Magician fight, I'll take it. Magician has a rank system where if you're playing really good, he'll speed up, and you can tell by the color of his after images. Also, in the background behind James, hard to see, you'll probably have to look at the VOD to rewind. In the background, there's actually a second model of James from the prior cutscene when he arrives at Goldman's building, and they forgot to deload it. It's kind of funny.
The door of fate.
But yeah, a lot of these light gun games do have rank systems. The severity of the rank kind of depends on the game and the developer. But Magician definitely like moves faster if you're playing good. You can tell by the color of his after images. So when he's white, he's basically at max velocity. So we're at the Goldman building, and these are the mightiest enemies in the game. We just saw these guys in the car ride. Also some familiar dialogue and scenes that will ring true in House of the Dead 4, I guess. So here's Eric, the laser arm creature, and he's a palette swap of the chainsaw guys from before, and he sucks. He's one of the worst enemies. This part's really bad. I got through it. They move really fast. It's possible to shoot them in the legs to stagger them, but you don't really have too much time to do it, so just best to just go ham on his head. So now at the Goldman building, where Goldman is waiting for us, these cybernetic creatures he's made. There's a life up to the right. So that normally would be the only life up you would get for the rest of the game.
What is this?
But we did something special. We saved all the hostages, all the civilians. But we'll get to that soon. So rank is really high, so Tower is extremely mad. So it is very much possible that Tower can throw unreasonable patterns at you, and like 2 heads can attack at once. Super aggressive. Alright. Final hallway. This part, like, you want to, like, kill these enemies as fast as possible. Alright, I'm gonna do something goofy here if I can. Alright. Yes. I love doing that. Not worth much points, but it's so stupid I gotta do it. Here's the bonus room for saving all the people. Under no circumstances do you pick up the mushroom because you lose 200 points. But it's so insignificant, it's almost like a joke. Because the headshot value is probably already built up to this point. Anyway.
Waiting for you, friends.
Goldman! Do you know what you're doing?
What better way to start off a final boss than
Of what I'm doing.
with one of the most infamous cutscenes in gaming history?
Man committed a sin, disturbing the life cycle of nature. The original sin that man is responsible to protect the life cycle.
Said the thing.
I have made a creature to rule over mankind.
Oh god.
This is the final battle.
Just turn into Kermit there.
Self, our new ruler, the Emperor.
Thank you, Goldman. Alright, final boss. And spoiler alert, it's the Emperor. Alright. Emperor's a really hard final boss. Kind of a final exam boss, because his whole gimmick is that he morphs into bosses you've already fought. Let's see how the fight goes. So the weak point for Emperor is the spinning red ball in his chest. It's marked as unknown, but I think it's pretty obvious where it is. This sort of phase is hard. So he has 3 phases. There's phase 2. So phase 1, he does the sword and the ball attacks. Phase 2, he morphs into previously defeated bosses and you have to shoot their weak points. This is complete RNG. And sometimes he does that attack. The strength phase is by far the worst. And we blew through it quickly. That was a very quick second phase. So there's this final phase. You gotta shoot the little ball. It's really hard to shoot. There we go, 1 CC. God. Yes. Boom. There we go. That is House of the Dead 2. Really quick final boss. You can get more damage in.
Friends, it is not over yet.
Is that all you have to say?
In time, a successor will come. Farewell, friends.
Whee! One of the endings of all time.
It's finally over. Goldman, I don't care if a successor comes or not. I'll go on fighting. As long as we have the will to
I
live.
can't see chat, but thanks in advance for the GGs. I appreciate it.
Goldman.
There was an unused voice sample of Goldman screaming as he falls to his death. That was in the files. But yeah, that's the game. So Goldman is defeated, I guess. The creature infestation in this... It's implied to be Venice, Italy, the city. Venetian city, whatever, has been taken care of. And you get this familiar stroll out of the Goldman building. Much like House of the Dead 1. This is, again, far from my favorite game in the series. I still think the original is the best, but I think 2 is fun in areas. Scoring system's just a little bit problematic to me. great soundtrack as always from Sega. This game had a lot of returning staff from House of the Dead 1, so I think 1 and 2 are the most similar. Yeah. Takashi Oda is the one of the few current staff. He's worked on all the games. He's still at Sega. He's kind of the heart and soul of House of the Dead still. And there's different endings based on how well you did. We get the best ending.
Rogan!
With Rogan,
G and Harry are all right. Let's leave the rest to them.
a character from the first game.
On we go. To our next battle.
As long as we have the will to live. There's a few other endings, like Goldman becoming a creature or the hostages thanking you. Based on the number of continues and score, 111,000 is pretty good. I probably won't reach the leaderboard, and I actually did. Wow, I barely reached the leaderboard. Because if you look at the leaderboard, wow. It's been a while since I actually saw my name on this copy of the emulator. We got some pretty high scores. So it's really hard to actually get up there. Although again, with that weird exploit that some Japanese players have showed off, you can just really just blow up the scoring. But yeah, that's House of the Dead 2. I hope you enjoyed that. I guess up next, I'm gonna set up Vampire Knight, which I think is the hardest game I have submitted. So I'm just happy I won CC this game, but yeah, I guess we'll go to intermission. I'll set up Vampire Knight, and I'll see you guys next time.